Yay, I'm on my mat. Finally, able to share some more time with you. So thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm working with balance today. You will need something to stand on. So I've got a yoga brick, but you may not have one of those to hand. So a good sturdy book if people still have those in their homes. Anything that's solid, that isn't kind of going to collapse under the weight of your foot. And obviously something that isn't going to be slippy on any surface you're on. We're just going to stand on it and maybe use it to support ourselves under the hand. Other than that, that's all you'll need, and just time for yourself as always. So we are going to start sitting down today, and I'm going to encourage you to sit on your brick or whatever you're using, and just to allow the hips to be a bit more receptive to being open. So sitting on the brick, and we're going to cross shin over shin. So rather than just letting the ankles cross, we kind of push the feet a bit further away from each other. I'm going to flex the feet. So just to remind you, this is a flexed foot. This is a pointy toe or extended foot. So flexing and pulling the toes towards you and extending your pointy them away. So find your cross leg, cross shin position. Right shin in front of left. Just spend a moment noticing what you notice. So when we balance, we want to encourage a lovely line of energy right the way from the heel all the way up the leg and the spine to the crown of the head. And what can happen a lot of times is we tend to, well, I don't usually use the word dump in yoga, but we can dump energy down, and that tends to cause this kind of thing to happen. So this might be your hip, so your hip kind of flops out to the side. So we're encouraging the hip and that sort of energetic part of the body to remain connected to everything else today. So just drawing the mind to the place we're going to be using to support us. So not necessarily working to open hips today, just having awareness of that area. If you feel okay, you can come a little bit further forwards. And again, if you feel okay, you can come a little bit further forwards from there. So nothing too dramatic here, nothing too shocking for your nervous system, just an awareness of the hip. So usually the leg that's in front, it's that hip you may be more aware of. So coming back up, but come up rather than just fling up, come up with awareness. Take a moment. Pop the other shin in front, reflex your feet. So we're going to do this in a moment again, but sitting on the floor, and feel free to repeat it sitting on your brick if that's a better way for you to be able to sit in a more cross-legged position. I do encourage you to have a go, but if you find that you're really tight, even here, you can actually elevate your hips even more, so you can sit on something else on top of what you're already sitting on, again making sure it's nice, stable support for you. So high to begin with, feel free to stay here, a little bit further forwards should you wish to do so. But you take a couple of breaths in each place, so you can just tune into the sensation that may be building, more in the left side this time, coming down. And then coming back up again with that awareness, so a slight pause before coming to your upright position. Well done. So just adjust your knees for a moment, move your brick, whatever you're sitting on, to one side, and come back, right shin in front of left, reflexing the feet. And what we're going to do here is just spread the sitting bones a bit. So if you lean over to the right and just kind of manhandle your sitting bone out a bit on the left side, and then lean over to the left and do that on the right. Then you can press down with your hands so your hips lift up, and keep the idea of the sitting bones spreading as you take your hips a tiny bit further back. And maybe your right hip is now going hello a little bit more obviously than it was a moment ago. So same process, you start high and then you can come forwards. What I like to do when I'm sharing yoga with anyone is to move more quickly than I am encouraging you to do so, just so you know where we're heading towards. So I usually take slightly less time through each stage of movement, if you like. So you may still be quite high up and you're still sort of fine-tuning the movement. Same as you come back up, you'll take a little pause, and then you'll end up in your upright position. Please take your time. So this is why I like to kind of move in advance of you, because then you know where you need to be and you can take your time to get there. Once you've come back to your upright position and you've had a little pause there, change so the other shin's in front, re-widen the sitting bones, maybe take the hips back a bit and begin that sort of forward movement. So you're hinging from your hips. So rather than sort of crunching through the belly, your natural anatomical makeup is kind of designed for you to fold at the hip creases. So we're just going to work with that here so the spine stays long. It's just like almost like a lever coming forwards. So if you can also, as you come forwards, notice what's happening with your chin. And is your neck still in line with the rest of your spine, or have you lifted your chin up, crunching the back of the neck, or have you dropped your chin down, crunching the front of the neck? Somewhere in between would be good. Good, so just a little bit of a kind of instant reference for your mind with regards to the area of the body we'll be focusing on with regards to support today. Then we'll come, take your time please, to come to all fours once you've come back up. And we're just going to make little circles now with the hips, so you can go whatever direction you want to go in. If you take your knees a tiny bit further back than under your hips, and then you can bring the hips forward, it's like you're trying to bring them to the floor and then almost back to the heels. So you've got much more circular movement. And then change the direction. That's it. And then we'll come back to the centre and we'll bring your left foot forwards to the inside of the left hand. Good. Now you might want your brick over it on the right side of your mat, because you may want to pop your right hand on top when we go into a little twist in a moment. But initially, all I'd like you to do is have your back toes top, but you can keep your knee down as we just focus on what's going on the outside of the left thigh and hip. So this is where what can happen, the hip can swing out to the side, even in a lunge position. So we want to encourage this area to be really kind of sucking in towards the midline of the body. So if you lightly sort of press, you can have your forearm, actually that's a good one, forearm and hand against the outside of the left thigh, and press your hand against your leg and arm against your leg and push your leg back against your arm and hand. Now you should feel all kinds of wonderful things going on here. The leg will be firing up underneath the thigh here, the hamstring. You should feel also, but the thigh bone, the top of your femur, your thigh bone, kind of gets pulled in towards the hip socket. So that's what we're trying to do, keeping that energetic connection. Now, option to tuck the back toes and push the heel away, maybe lift the knee. And as you reach to that place, press down through your front foot and your back foot. Even if your knee's down, use your knee and pull them towards each other. So you've got this drawing into what we call the midline, everything coming in. It's like you're almost trying to scissor your feet. Good. Now your right hand, can be on the floor, or you can pop your knee down if it's up and put it on the brick. And we're just going to take the left arm out and up for a twist. Have a sneaky look at your left hip and see if it's started to swing out to the side. If it has, you can bring your hand back, press the hand against the leg, leg against the hand, then really release your arm up. Then bringing the hand back down, we're just going to straighten the front leg and bend the front leg. You can do this with the back knee down, should you wish. If your hand's on your brick, just pop it back onto the mat. So back knee up or down, straighten the front leg, bend the front leg. We'll hold it this time. We've got the option to come up onto the heel of that front foot, okay, which is quite strong. But, and again, just check your hips. You want your hips in line, and there's always a tendency as well for the back hip to kind of sag to the floor. So if you lift that up, then pop the foot back down, release the back knee, step back, and knees nice and wide, big toes together. Take a moment to sit back on the heels. I use the phrase quite a lot, notice what you notice. So if you do that here, which may be oh, thank goodness for that. Or maybe, oh yeah, my left side feels different than my right side. And I always like to remind anyone that shares their time with me that noticing that something hasn't changed, or noticing that you can't notice anything, is still an awareness. So you're aware that nothing's changed, or you're aware that actually I can't feel anything at all. Good, so coming back to all fours, your right foot comes forwards now, so your brick might be on the other side of your mat. So we've just got that little kind of pressing again, so the hand and the arm go on the outside of that front thigh. Good. Keeping the back toes down initially, but tuck them under, so the back knee down, but tuck your toes. Start to press the arm and hand into the leg, and the leg back into the arm and hand. Checking the hip, so have a sneaky look at your hip and see what it's doing. You want the knee and the hip in a beautiful straight line, so front to back straight rather than diagonally out to the side straight. Good. Now, if you're going to use your brick, take a moment to put your brick under your left hand. If you choose to do so, press your left heel away so the knee's up, and then take that right arm out and up. An option again, just check your hip. You may find that your hip's already starting to relocate itself, so encourage it to come back. And this left hip can always sag down, so really lift that hip up. Now as you lift the left hip, you'll notice that your right hip kind of conforms as well and gets more in line with the left. Good. Bring the hand back down to the floor. If you're on your brick, take a moment to get your hand back on your mat. And back knee up or down, we're going to straighten the front leg and bend the front leg. Go forward and backwards, good. And this one we'll hold to come up onto the heel of the front foot, squaring the hips again. Get to extend the chest, shoulders back and down as much as you can. Good. You can always remember the back knee can be down and your hands can be much closer to you. And if you find this a challenge and you've got two bricks handy, you can elevate your hands onto bricks. All right? So that's a really nice way to work on the back of this leg without too much angst. Well done. Pop the foot down. Good. Reposition your hands. This time we're going to go to downward dog. So take a moment to step to downward dog. Now if this is your first downward dog of the day, or with me, or for a while, ease into it. Try not to just stick yourself into position like you're glued in place. Just be a bit more fluid. And maybe let shoulders move, the feet, the ankles, hips. Well done. Now let's settle into downward dog. Take a breath in, lift the heels, and as you breathe out, bend your knees and sit your hips back. So you're in maybe a challenging place for your tummy. Lift the navel to the spine and check that your lower back isn't collapsing. And hopefully you can see the difference. I'm kind of collapsing here and I'm more supported. So lumbar spine, neutral-ish but not over-arched. And then we'll look forward and we'll walk or step the feet towards the short end of the mat. Good. Hands are going to stay wherever they are, so if they're on your legs or on your feet or on the floor, you're going to try and keep them there. As you breathe in, lift the chest till your arms are straight. Maybe you're on your fingertips. Exhale, watch that lumbar spine again. Exhale, fold. Good. And again, breathe in. exhale, fold. One more, breathe in. Exhale, fold. Soften the knees, and when you're ready, slowly roll up, rebuilding your spine, one vertebra at a time. Finish with that nice shoulder roll at the top. Upright and standing. So we're just going to do a few things on our mats. First we'll be doing it just standing on the foot, then we'll do it standing on the brick. Good, well done. So we're going to go back to our little lunge that we did a moment ago, and this time we're going to have the foot on the brick. So if you bring your brick onto your mat, step your left foot on your mat. If you find this a challenge going from here to a lunge, all right, then come back to all fours and step your left foot forwards onto the brick. And you can always keep the back knee down. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to do that little rocky thing and have our twist. So however you want to get there, your left foot is stepping on the brick. This is a little bit of a balance already. You'll soften your standing leg. Now you can shoot that right leg back and touch it down lightly, or you can lightly tap it back, bringing your hands to the floor. So a little bit of core work involved there too. Back knee up or down, just to remind you. So we go in and out of that twist. So again, you can have another brick if you've got one handy or something similar for your right hand. Left arm out and up, breathe in, watch that hip. So suck that left hip in, exhale the arm back down, and kind of give yourself a hug and think about a little bit of more straightness in that left leg. Go back to the proper bent leg, breathe in, arm out and up. Exhale, hug, squeeze, straighten a bit more. And again, I'm going to hold it this time. So you're going to hold it, straighten, 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 straighten as best you can. And maybe readjust your hands. We'll keep the foot flat here. And you might be a bit chatty now with your back calf muscle, particularly if your knee's up. Say hi. Well done. Rebend the front leg. Adjust your hands. And take a moment to step, whoops, perhaps a bit more gracefully than I did, to the front of your mat. And scooch the brick over to the other side. Now your seat doesn't need to have that square, good. Step on with your right foot. And just to remind you again, you can be on all fours and step your foot forwards if that's more doable for you. Good, so a slight lean maybe, particularly if you're going for the reach and the balance as you tap that left foot down and bring your hands to the floor with that core support. So we've got that little hug again. So left hand perhaps on another brick, right arm out and up, breathe in. Exhale, wrap it underneath the thigh. Really kind of squeeze your thigh and chest towards each other as you think about straightening that leg a little bit more. Rebend, arm out and up, inhale. Exhale, hug, squeeze and straighten a bit more. Final one, breathe in. Exhale, hug, squeeze. Now just check that right hip hasn't started to shoot out to the side. Remember the left hip, you want to keep that buoyant as well. Maybe saying hello to your left calf now, particularly if your knee's up. Well done. Rebend the front leg. Maybe tap the back foot forwards a bit before stepping. That's a bit better. To the front of the mat. Pop your brick to one side for a moment. And we'll just stand quietly, hands at the heart centre. So balancing is pretty challenging and it can kind of set the mind whirring a bit. It's exciting, but we don't want it to cause distress, if you like, to the thought processes. We don't want to worry that it's something that we maybe get a bit negative with. So you're just aiming to stand on one foot and the other foot is maybe even just an inch off the mat. So that's absolutely okay. So we're going to bring the hands to the waist. We're going to firm up through the right foot. Now this is where you want to think about what's happening to the hip. This is what I was talking about earlier, that when we go into balances, we can have a tendency to do this. And all that does, again, is just lock out all of the joints and it kind of reduces the muscular action, so we're less strong muscularly and therefore not developing strength in the muscles, which is really, really important that we keep strong our muscles, particularly for hormonal health. Okay, your endocrine system needs muscle fibre to work properly, so that's why we need to hold on to what we've got and promote health and wellness in that part of the body. So we're looking to suck the hip in again, just like we did when we were pressing the hand against the leg. So that's what we're aiming to do when we're standing up. Good, so short end of the mat. And standing on the right foot, make sure that you've got the feel of that hip really squeezing in. Glutes going to work for you too, hands to the waist. So as you breathe in, you just let that left knee come forwards and up. Wobble or not is absolutely fine. Good. Take a few breaths here. Let your ankle dance around if that's what it's doing. It means it's getting strong. Soften your standing leg as you tip forwards. You can always pop your right hand on the wall or a chair back to support the movement. Keep your legs softly bent, or you can straighten out. Then come back to that knee up position. Then as you breathe out, you can just turn to the left. So right hand to outside of left knee. Come back to the center. Then exhale. Maybe just reach your arms back this time as you take your leg back. Good, come back up. Good, bring that knee forwards. And again, just turning to the left. So strong work. Watch you're not collapsing into your hip and you're still losing the muscles of that right leg and your right glutes. Ooh, wobble, wobble, wobble. Okay, one more warrior three. So you can go to the full pose. I'm not going to hold it, but we are going to then exhale the hands, whoops, more gracefully on that to the floor. Other leg up. Now you can have your bricks here. You can really bend your standing leg. Just going to hold on here. Maybe hold the left ankle, sorry, the right ankle with the right hand. Good. Then we'll softly bring the left foot back to the mat. We'll come up halfway. Inhale, fingers stay glued wherever they are. Exhale as we fold. Soften the knees, come up. Rebuild your spine. Roll your shoulders up, back and down. Well done. We'll do all of that on the other side. So this time, you're standing on your left foot. You're encouraging this line all the way up here, this beautiful straight line. So we haven't got that kind of V shape going on. Draw it in. Okay, so standing on the left foot, hands to the waist. A little bit of navel support also. Your tailbone is down, so you're in a nice central position gravity-wise. So if you start to tip, then it's going to be a real challenge. So you're trying to keep a beautiful line of energy all the way from the crown of the head down to the feet. So let's release the right knee. We take a couple of breaths here. Left glutes working strongly, left thigh muscle. Thigh kneecap is lifted. We've got a little softness to the standing leg. So just to remind you, you can be just hovering with that back foot and hardly any forward movement at all. As long as it's a challenge for you, then that's exactly where you need to be. Coming back up with the knee. Then we'll turn to the right. Left hand to outside of right knee. Just a little turn of the shoulders. Coming back, forward facing. Maybe wing the arms back. Maybe not. Everything can be soft here. Remember, you can have your left hand on the wall or support coming back up. Good. We'll do one more turn. Wobble if you need to. And then we'll go possibly into the full warrior three, but just for a second before popping the hands down. Maybe you need to come back to both feet and then re-lift that back leg. Maybe hold left ankle with left hand. Good, pop your hand back down. This time, bend your standing leg and reach the raised leg to the back of the mat, stepping back to downward dog. So we'll come to plank pose. We'll take a breath here. Then we'll release the knees and we'll wave to the floor. Good. You'll come up to cobra. What I'd like you to do is to straddle your mat with your hands. So take your mat, either side, your hands either side of the long edge of your mat, and breathe in to come up. Exhale down. Come up to all fours. And let's just sit back on the heels. Whatever position you'd like, you can use a brick here, actually that's quite nice to do. You can just rest your forearms on your brick. You can rest your head on your brick. Sometimes it's nice to have the neck in line with the rest of the spine and just be aware of the weight of the head and whatever it's resting on. Well done. Good. So we're going to do that all again, but standing on the brick, and we'll add tree pose this time. So tree we're looking to do today without using the hand to adjust the knee, and we're just going to let the foot hover off the inside of the standing leg. If you're not happy about standing on the brick, you can just repeat everything we've done, standing on your foot with the addition of tree pose at the end of that little sequence. We probably won't twist standing on the brick, but we might. See how we feel. So coming back up, take your time. We're not going to kind of vinyasa our way there. We're just going to come up to stand. So we'll start again standing on the right foot. So try not to claw the end of your brick with your toes. So just kind of having enough of your foot on the brick so that maybe the big toes over the end, but you haven't got the sort of base of the toes over the ridge because they'd be really tempted to grip then. Hands to the waist as we press into the standing foot, and that's going to help you draw that hip in anyway because you're really having to activate through the leg. So press firmly down through that foot. And then if you just settle so your non-standing foot is in line with the standing foot as if it was also on a brick, and then we bring the knee up. Good. Let's just twist straight away here. So right hand to outside of left knee, turn the shoulders slightly, come back to the centre. Woohoo, wobble, wobble. Soften your standing leg as you tip forwards. Come back, knee up. And then we'll go to tippy-tippy again, but this time maybe wing the arms back. Notice all the stuff that's going on in your standing leg. And maybe in your mind, switch it onto the feel of everything. Bring the knee up. Option to sweep the arms forwards this time. Then come back to your standing position. Bring that knee forwards again. Swing it out to the side. And let your foot hover off the inside of your standing leg. Maybe bring your hands to prayer pose. Anjali Mudra. Really squeeze those right glutes. Then knee comes forwards. Softly bend your standing leg. Step down onto the floor. Step off your brick. And maybe just want to walk around a bit. Good, well done. So same thing on the other side. So move your brick to one side. Good. Left foot comes onto the brick. And you'll feel as you press down, make sure your toes again are nicely placed. Press into the brick. So with real kind of intent, so that you're pressing and using the leg muscles to get it straight. And that will encourage the hip to kind of realign and the top of the thigh bone to come into that straight line position. Hands to the waist. Good. Release your right foot so it's in line with the left, but it's kind of in mid-air. It's flexed. Notice what's happening in your left ankle. Mine's dancing around like crazy today, but that's all right. Bending the right knee. Let's do a little twist first, I think. So turning left hand to outside of right knee. Turn the shoulders just a little bit, not too much. Come back to a forward facing position. Soften the knee as you tip. Forwards, hopefully not off. Keep everything soft. So moving in a balance is really challenging. Good, come up, maybe wing the arms back. Good. Don't worry if you're not level. I know I'm not, but I'm doing my best today. Good. Come back, knee up. And this time maybe a full expression of warrior 3, or maybe you'll keep your hands on your hips. Then we come back to our standing position. The knee comes forward, it swings out to the side, your foot hovers on the inside of the leg. You're really squeezing your left glute here to keep that hip back. Maybe Anjali, the heart center. And then we allow the knee to swing forwards. Release the foot onto the floor, bend your standing leg and step off your brick. Well done. Let's bring the hands to the waist, just make some nice circles, keeping the legs straight. And the other way. Change again. And change again. Good. So we're going to continue using the brick. So we're going to do that little step into a lunge again from a brick position, and then we're going to step to that knee up and just change the position of the arms. So they'll be, rather than here, we'll bring them to this position. Okay, cactus arms sometimes called. So more elbows in line with shoulders rather than dropping down into the waist. And you're squeezing the shoulder blades together. So shift your brick over. Again, feel free to do this without the brick. Well done. So once again, you're pretending that your non-standing foot is also on the brick. So you're lifting. So the hips are in level, are in line or level, and the feet are also level. So you soften your standing leg, tip forwards, which you've done already quite a few times, and start to reach to the back of the mat so your toe taps down. So you're going to sweep the arms forwards and up. So you're in a high lunge or crescent lunge position, but with your front foot, got there in the end, on a brick, if you're working with the brick. Otherwise, your foot's on the floor. Would you bring your hands to your waist? You lean forwards because you'll need to do that. Slight push off the back foot, and then bring that knee forwards and up. Arms go up into this cactus position, and we're going to turn to the left. This time with the elbows open. Come back to the center. Hands back to the waist. Step back. One more high lunge position, arms up. Bring your arms out and down, and you should be okay, but make sure that you don't hurt yourself on your brick. Step off the brick to the back of the mat so you're in downward dog. You might like to wiggle the hips again. And look forwards, walk your feet to the front of the mat. Shift your brick to one side, come up halfway, inhale. Exhale, fold, soften the knees, rebuild your spine. Rolling up. Let's do that on the other side. So find your brick underneath your left foot this time. And as you press down, remember, the hip is drawn in. You lift. Other foot is level. Hands to the waist. Soften your standing leg. That little tilt forward that we did earlier. Then now you're actively reaching to the back of the mat, softly touching that foot down. As you reach the arms forward and up. Good. Real nice expression of this pose, so you can lean back if that feels good. Keep the tailbone long. Try not to overflow your rib cage, so draw the ribs in. Good. Hands to the waist as you lean. You may find you need to tap your foot forwards, absolutely okay. As you once again elevate the knee, arms go into that cactus position. You turn to the right. You come back to the center. You really find your lunge, arms lift, then the hands release to the floor. Take your time to step off your brick to the back of the mat. Pop your brick to one side, come forwards to plank. Take a moment, release the knees, wave down to the floor. Same cobra, hands either side of the mat. Breathe in as you lift. So using your back muscles, and the best way to do that is to avoid having your arms in this position so that your elbows melt down, lifting up at the back muscles. Exhale as you fold. We do two more, lifting up. Exhale, fold. One more. Exhale, fold. just make your way back to your child's pose. Remember to take your brick with you if you'd like to use that to support your head. Good. Well done. So, not a long practice today, I think it's about 30 minutes, but we're going to finish as we started in that cross-chin position. So you can sit on your brick or you can come straight to sitting on your bottom on your mat. And we'll start with the right shin in front of the left. Separate your sitting bones, maybe take the hips back a bit. Now, this is fine and you can repeat what we've done. If you want to go a little deeper, you can stack the right foot on top of the left knee. Now for me on this side, it's really quite tight for me. I mean, you can see there's a gap between my foot and my knee, but it's not hurting my knee, so it's fine to have your knee in this position. If you prefer, you can always pop a brick underneath your leg, or you can draw this underneath foot in towards you. So you've still got a stronger kind of rolling out rotation, outward rotation of that thigh with your foot on your knee, but it's even stronger with the other leg in a similar position. So we're going to do exactly what we did at the beginning. We're going to start high. I'm going to take a few breaths. Now if you're in the stronger place, you'll notice the intensity, the awareness of the hip more quickly, coming forwards. And particularly if you've got the underneath leg in a similar position, then you'll have awareness of both hips. And maybe coming more forwards. Now, a nice thing to do, rather than having your hands here, is to press your hands against your feet and push your feet back against your hands whilst you're here. Remember to continue to breathe out. So try not to hold your breath. Good, on your next out breath, wherever you are, make your way slowly to your upright position. And you can curl the underneath heel in towards you, walk it over a bit, and then let your right foot come onto the floor on the outside of your left leg. Good. So we're going to go into Ardha Chandrasana half spinal twist. So you can wrap the arm, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is go a little deeper. The right arm goes behind you, you'll reach up the left, you kind of diagonally go across, bend the elbow, and then draw the arm back against the knee. So it's a little bit tighter. If you've kind of collapsed into your lower back again, then we want to go back to where we can keep the spine long. Okay, so looking towards the back shoulder. Remember all those little points of focus, if you shared your time with me before, how we can turn the shoulders to create softness in the neck. And we use that drawing back through the navel to support the back. Then we'll exhale our way back. So this is the kind of rewind bit. We undo our legs, we stretch them out, give them a bit of a bounce, and then roll from side to side. We'll do that on the other side. So just start with your shins crossed, see how that feels. Get the sitting bones wider, the hips back a little bit. If you feel you can go a little deeper, then the next phase is the underneath leg, the heel curls in, but you put your left foot on top of your right knee. Finally, if you're going into the deepest sensation, then the underneath leg kind of lines up with the long edge of your mat. So your legs are kind of mirroring each other. So we're trying to find something that I refer to as mild discomfort. Just so we can really move into those ligaments and tendons and perhaps just get rid of tightness, the deep tightness that it's hard to reach sometimes unless you give yourself time in a place. So rather than moving and flowing, we're static, but we look static from the outside, but on the inside you've got fibres, muscle fibres, sort of giving and easing, tendons softening, ligaments being less pulley. And remember your options, you can stay high, you can sort of move a bit, Or you can go forwards to your maximum without pushing, or you can press your hands against your feet. So your left hand will push against the sole of your right foot, and your right hand will push against the sole of your left foot, and both feet will press back into the hands. So there's quite a bit of effort going on. It's not sort of teeth gritting effort, but it's enough for you to feel the resistance between your hands and your feet. Well done. Slowly come back to your upright position for that little twist. So the underneath foot kind of curls in a bit, and it walks over more to the left. And your left foot goes on the outside of your right thigh. You can always straighten out the right leg if that's more doable. So we just take the left hand behind. Remember, just hug the knee with the right arm if that works for you, or reach the right arm up, take it over to the left, bend the elbow, and then you're drawing the upper arm back against the knee. Turning the shoulders first, and then let the head follow. Navel to spine. The whole time you're here, you've got that feeling of openness and almost growth through the spine. Well done. And slowly rewind. Release your legs out. Maybe a windscreen wiper of the legs. I'll spin round to join you. So we're going into a forward bend now. So the legs are close, or you can have them in a slight V actually. So let's do that. That's quite a nice thing to do. If you take them in a slight V, they're not really wide, but they're halfway between together and as wide as your mat. Good. So we're going to reach the arms up, but remember you can walk your hands down if you wish. I'd like you to fold from your hip creases. So be careful that you haven't just done this to make it seem that you're nice and low to your legs. Okay, so we're going to keep the chest lifted, the arms are going to lift, breathe in. Feet are strongly flexed. As you breathe out, come forwards. Think chest towards the top of your feet here. Keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching, navel to spine. And then as you relax, maybe you can grab hold of the feet. Maybe your hands are on the floor, maybe you've got hold of your ankles. Take another breath in, elevate the chest. Feel the sort of response from the backs of your legs. Then exhale, this time soften and round down. And whatever you do with your feet, just kind of let them sigh away from that place. Walking your hands back up or raising the arms as you inhale, lowering the arms back down as you exhale. And we're going to finish today in a seated position. So easy pose, one leg folded in front of the other, sitting on your brick if you prefer. We'll take the shoulders up, back and down. This may feel a little bit more comfortable now from what we've done with our hips today. I'd just like to guide you towards stillness by bringing your hands to prayer pose. Close your eyes and begin to tune in to the natural rhythm of your breath. And perhaps you'd like to just gently release your hands onto your knees, tips of the index finger and the thumb touching. You may spontaneously turn your hands up, so palms may be up with the same mudra. Keeping the spine long and open. Chin is just dipping slightly down and in towards the throat, back of the neck, beautifully long. Take a few moments here with your breath. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and step back into your day. Namaste.